Hey, it's Wednesday.
You know what that means.
That's right, it's Underwater Wednesday. You guys like Underwater Wednesday, we like Underwater Wednesday. And we are going to respond to a viewer request.
Yep. Your wish is our command. Well, his command. He's the one that has to get cold.
Absolutely. We're gonna be looking at glide baits in the pool. We did a glide bait video earlier, but this time we're gonna put a couple different glide baits in the pool, see how they look in the water, and talk about 3 different aspects of fishing with glide baits that I think it's really important to kind of pay attention to. You guys are gonna like this one. Stick around. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
And it is Underwater Wednesday, and we are here talking about glide baits today. So Megan, take a look at this glide bait, the first one that we've got, and
okay.
I want to point out something as you're watching this. With all the baits that we throw as fishermen, doesn't matter whether it's a spinner bait or a worm or a crankbait, baits are always being thrown out, and that you make the far cast, and then the bait is always being brought to you as an angler.
Right.
The glide bait is the one bait where that bait turns, and it doesn't just turn left to right, but you can actually, as you can see here, that glide bait is turning in a way where it turns away from the angler, which I think is one of the most intriguing parts of glide bait fishing. It's the only bait that I know of that doesn't come from point A to point B, meaning the far end of the cast to back to the fishing pole.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I got kind of fangirl and was like, ooh, look at that.
Absolutely, and doesn't it, when you see that bait in the pool, it really looks like a fish swimming kind of very meekly in the pool.
Yep.
And that's the big attraction. And not only is it the big attraction to anglers, but it's the big attraction to the bass, and it's what draws those big fish up. I remember when we were out on Hague Quarry, and I told you about what that's like when those fish do rise to those glide baits. It's really exciting, and it's a really exciting form of fishing. But as we're showing some of these other clips, let's talk too about a couple of things when it comes to throwing glide baits and how to get those glide baits to not only act like they are here in the pool, but also what you want to pay attention to. One of the things you'll notice, and again, we're making short casts in the pool and you're seeing the baits landing, but in fishing these glide baits, I don't care about the splash, meaning I make a long cast, that bait ends up exploding on the water as it lands on the water. That's totally fine. I want that big bait to kind of come down hard on the water and let everything underneath know that something just landed on the water. And then I want that bait to just twitch a little bit. And I want those fish looking up at that silhouette of that bait as it's slowly twitching and go, that's what made that noise. And investigate, because looking at that glide bait up there as it slowly twitches, that fish is gonna start to go, well, I wonder if that's a meal. Number 2, and this part I think is very important too, and you'll see some clips here as we're working this bait. As that bait does get closer and closer to the side of the boat, or if you're fishing from the shore and you're working that bait closer to shore, as it gets closer to the boat or shore, you need to realize that you are actually getting closer to a potential strike zone. When it gets closer to the side of the boat, that is an area that a bass would look at like, I've got that bait where I want it. It's corralled between me and the side of the boat.
So this is the boat.
So if that's the boat, and the fish and the bait is here, and the fish is coming here, it can't go that way. It's only can go this way or this way, and so it's got a corral. If it's out here,
Right.
it can go any way it wants. But when it gets closer to the boat, it's got it corralled up there. A lot of anglers are gonna, well, it's close to the boat, and they pick up that bait and they make another cast. Be prepared for a strike right up close to, this is one time in bass fishing that I like to kind of equate it to musky fishing. And in musky fishing, a lot of times guys will be taking those baits and even doing figure eights next to the boat. And there's a lot of times when the muskie will strike right up close to the boat. A lot of times it's happened where I've pulled that glide bait out and the fish has kind of come up out of the water after it right at the side of the boat.
That's cool.
So learn from my mistakes and keep that bait in the water for a little bit longer, and see if you can't get that strike right up by the boat. So that's the second thing that I really wanted to talk about. And then finally, I do want to point out, as you can see, we've got these glide baits working where they've got a real nice back and forth motion, and even some real significant times when they do a 180 and they turn backwards, and most of that action is provided in the reel handle itself. Very little of that action is coming from the rod tip. It's kind of a combination of rod tip and reel handle, but it really comes from, and you can see this in the clip, where it's speeding up the handle, stopping it, maybe a rod tip, speeding up, stopping it. And I have to say, and I gave this advice the last time we did this type of video about glide baits, is it really pays to start throwing glide baits at short casts where you can see what you are doing or what you're making the glide bait do. Make a short cast, play around with, oh, this half turn makes it go this way. If I pause, then I do another quarter turn, it makes it come a little bit more, and so on, and play around with it. Don't start off making long casts where you can't see what the glide bait is doing. So Megan, one of the baits that you saw us throwing in the pool was this Gancraft 230. And this is the bait that we saw in the pool. And then the other bait that you saw that actually we got to do the 180, that is called a Roman-made negotiator. The Roman-made negotiator is a 7-inch, 3-ounce bait. So a little bit longer than the Gancraft, but it gives you that nice gliding and that ability to make that 180 and be able to turn all the way around. So those were the two baits, guys, that we have in the pool that we kind of demonstrated here today. Guys, we hope you liked this video, and we hope that you like watching these baits as they're swimming around in the pool. I can watch that all day long, just seeing these baits. They look so lifelike.
Yep.
And having a pool where we can kind of see how they work is phenomenal. Send us your comments. We hope that you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye.